Okay, so hello everyone again. I think we're having participants coming in, but I think we'll go ahead with the introductions and so on. So again, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. We are all from different
Good
time zones.
morning.
Yeah. Thank you all for being here with us today. A very special thank you to all the panelists who are here and all those attending from the different parts of the world. And once again, welcome to this virtual dialogue, high-level regional virtual dialogue on opportunities in the Gulf of Cooperation Council countries, fisheries and aquaculture. This is a premier virtual dialogue of its kind, and the aim is to explore and realize the new investment wave taking place in the GCC fisheries and aquaculture sector. For those who have been following INFOFISH webinar series since April this year, this is the third episode of our webinar series under the technical advancement and fisheries and aquaculture. And our esteemed panelists today will address the current production trends and expansion plans, seafood market and consumer trends, technological developments in this region. And the aim is again to update industry stakeholders, will be on the new investors with the information related to the region, hopefully with the aim of attracting them more towards the fisheries and aquaculture production in this region. Also, just to highlight that recent report by FAO GLOBEFISH indicates that aquaculture in this GCC region is still in its infancy stage with minimal production. However, it's very much import driven as well. But we do see consumption of seafood consumption increasing in many countries in this region, like Oman, where we have a relatively high per capita consumption of 28.7 kg per year. So governments in this region, of the countries in this region, have been developing policies, technologies, and favorable investment conditions to increase fish production, enhance seafood consumption, as well as ensure food security. So for the benefit of those of you who may not be aware of the role of INFOFISH in this region, we were established by FAO of United Nations in 1981 as a project to assist countries in the Asia-Pacific region to develop their fisheries industry. Over the years, over this 40 years, we've been instrumental in assisting countries in the Asia-Pacific region to develop their fishery industry by providing technical and advisory, technical and marketing advisory services. So we are also organizing various international conferences like the World Tuna Conference, Tilapia and Shrimp Conference. And these are the ways through which INFOFISH disseminates updates on market, trade, as well as technical services. So this webinar, since we had this issue with the pandemic early this year, has been one of the ways how INFOFISH has been disseminating various updates related to market information as well as technical information. So we invite you to participate actively in this webinar, and again, we will have a Q&A session towards the end, and we welcome all of you to submit your questions you have through the Q&A tab. So I'm happy to introduce today the panelists we have. Very much honored to introduce Dr. Lionel Dabadi, FAO Aquaculture Officer from the GCC region in UAE. Dr. Ali Al-Shahikihi, Director General of Fisheries Department and the CEO of the National Fisheries Developing Program, the Ministry of Environment, Water and Agriculture, the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. We also honored to invite Dr. Abdul Aziz Said Al-Mazuki, the Director General of Fisheries Resources Development, the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, the Sultanate of Oman, and Mr. Abdul Kadir Amin Al-Ahmad, the General Manager of Kuwait Aquaculture Consulting Establishment, State of Kuwait. So we have a very esteemed panelist here who are going to share the expertise on the various areas of the region and how we can all benefit from this. So it also gives me great pleasure to invite, or rather to introduce first, our moderator for this event, Dr. Victoria Alde-Sanz. Dr. Victoria, welcome. Dr. Victoria is a veterinarian with an MSc and PhD degree from the Stirling University. She also holds a postdoctorate from the Mahidol University in Thailand under the mentorship of Professor Dr. Tim Fledger. Dr. Victoria has lived and worked in Southeast Asia, Latin America, and Middle East, and she's also a regular collaborator of FAO and other international organizations, including the contribution to 5 chapters of the OIE Aquatic Animal Health Code. She has more than 40 peer-reviewed publications, 5 book chapters, numerous magazine articles, and she's the editor of the Shrimp Book. She's currently the director for biosecurity and breeding programs at the National Aquaculture Group, NAQUA, Saudi Arabia. Dr. Victoria, thank you for being with us today, and it's an honor to have you as a moderator for our event. The floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Serlin. Thank you for the introduction, and thank you, INFOFISH, for organizing this event. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the INFOFISH high-level virtual dialogue entitled Opportunities in the GCC Fisheries and Aquaculture. As Serlin mentioned, we have the privilege of having high-level panelists today participating in the event, and they will cover 4 main areas. One is the present status of production of aquaculture, the seafood market and consumer trends, the aquaculture development plans and requirements of technology support, the future outlook to ensure that the region food security and sustainable food productions in the region. Before we move with the first panelist, I would like to remind all the participants that you can ask questions and share your comments through the Q&A option of the Zoom platform. For easier interaction, please mention the panelist's name to whom you address the question. Presentations will last about 25 minutes, and right after each of them, we'll have 6 to 7 minutes of questions and answers. And finally, we'll have 1 minute for each panelist to have a concluding message. So our first panelist is Dr. Lionel Dabadi. He's the Senior Fisheries and Aquaculture Officer at FAO based in Abu Dhabi. He's responsible for providing support to the Gulf Cooperation Council states and Yemen. Earlier, he has been working at FAO headquarters and was responsible for developing guidelines for sustainable aquaculture. He holds a PhD degree from the University of Paris, and an economics engineer degree from Montpellier, Supagro. He served more than 25 years as a scientist at the French Agriculture Research Center, the CIRAD. In 2015, the president of the Asian Institute of Technology, AIT, bestowed him the title of Distinguished Adjunct Faculty in Bangkok, Thailand. He also received several awards, among which the special distinction from the BFAR Philippines and the silver medal of the French Academy of Agriculture. He has published over 50 scientific and technical publications, translated 2 aquaculture books in English, and produced an e-learning course on aquaculture with the help of CIRAD. He's also contributing actively as associate editor of the Journal of the World Aquaculture Society and in social media on aquaculture and fisheries. It is our great pleasure to introduce Dr. Lionel today, who will discuss on production trends and aquaculture expansion plans in the region. Thank you very much, Dr. Lionel. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much, Victoria. I'm going to share my screen. I hope you can see it now. Yes, I presume no answer, but I presume that you can see my slide. So Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you, Dr. Victoria. Thank you to INFOFISH, Ms. Charlene and Mr. Sujit for organizing this very interesting event and for inviting me. So my name is Lionel Dabadi. I'm the Senior Fisheries and Aquaculture Officer for the Arabian Peninsula, that is to say for the Gulf Cooperation Council states, the GCC, and the Yemen. So the story I'm going to tell you is about farming fish in the desert. When I told to my friends that I'm moving to a region that is not well known for having a lot of water, and I told them it's for farming fish, some of them answered that it must be very lazy. Indeed, it may look like a joke, but today farming fish in the desert has become a reality, and it is actually a very serious business, which I would like to introduce to you. So, despite the COVID-19 restrictions, I'm going to take you to an overseas trip to the Arabian Peninsula. So the 6 countries bordering the Gulf, which belong to the Gulf Cooperation Council. Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, Qatar, United Arab Emirates, and Oman, plus Yemen, that does not have a coastline on the Gulf side. So nobody, I presume, will be surprised if I say that the desert is hot and dry, but the Arabian Peninsula, as you can see on this map, is particularly hot and dry, and it's one of the harshest environments in the world. For example, in the United Arab Emirates, the annual rainfall is lower than 120 millimeters, except for some mountainous areas. But if the desert is hot and dry, in fact, it is not desert. On the contrary, as you can see on this graph. In 2020, there were almost 90 million people living in the region, which is a 90% increase over the last 20 years. And this trend is probably not going to stop soon. So people in the desert must eat, and in particular, they must eat fish. If you look at this graph, you can see that in fact the fish supply per capita since 1995 has not changed very much in the last decades, unlike what has been observed in the global average with a continuous increase. Some countries like Oman or the United Arab Emirates are consuming more than the global average, but less than the big consuming areas of Southeast Asia, Hong Kong, or several island states like Iceland or Maldives. On the other side, several countries are still consuming less than the global average, but all have made a priority to increase their sustainable consumption of fish by their populations, in particular because of the health benefit. In Saudi Arabia, for example, the seafood consumption is expected to grow by 7.4% annually until 2030. So where does this fish come from? So this graph, taken from the FAO statistics, shows the food balance sheet for the 5 countries for which data are available. So Kuwait, Oman, Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, and Yemen. As you can see, the main source of fish is imports, followed by capture fisheries and aquaculture, which contributions remains little. These data are from 2017. And they are the latest one available as of today for the food balance sheet. However, when we look at the country level, you need to distinguish Oman and Yemen, for which export fish are very important, but import fish are relatively small in comparison to the other GCC countries, for which the imports represent approximately 90% of the fish consumed. So a quick word about the COVID-19. As given this high dependency on imports and exports, you can easily imagine that the fish value chains in the GCC countries must have been severely impacted. In fact, they have been impacted severely, but this remained largely undetected at the consumer level due to the measures put in place by the government. The main impact was for the exporters and for the tourism market, like hotels, restaurants. But many producers have also been able to reorient their productions to the retail domestic market. Moreover, we have seen the emergence of many digital innovations, such as the Bihar platform in Oman for the online auctions, or many websites that emerged to support the direct sales from the fishermen or from the aquaculturists to the consumers. And all of this also contributed to the successful management of the crisis in the GCC states. On the positive side, some small farmers commented that in fact the crisis was a benefit from them because of the reduced competition from imports. And also this crisis highlighted the importance of food security for the GCC states. So food security was already high in the agenda for most of the country, but the crisis has shown that definitely that it is high for a good reason. So let's talk about fisheries first. The Arabian Peninsula is a desert that borders the sea. There is no landlocked country in the peninsula, and the sea has played a major role in the wealth of the regions before oil. Pearl diving has been a very important activity. This is a pearl collar here as an illustration that is exhibited at the Louvre in Abu Dhabi. So the pearl diving has been a very important activity. It dates back to the Stone Age, and it has gone all the way until the 1930s when the aquaculture of farmed oyster started and started to overload the global market with pearls. The local people are very proud of their fishing history and of the cultural values that are associated to it. For example, here, a quote from Sheikh Hamdan, the Crown Prince of Dubai, who declared 2 weeks ago, "The fishing profession has been inherited from our parents and grandparents, so we must preserve it and support its continuity." This table shows the coastline of the countries along the Gulf and also along the other marine area, which are the Red Sea, the Sea of Oman, and the Indian Ocean. Although the Gulf is not the largest coastline of the peninsula, it is the only coastline, or almost the only coastline in the case of the UAE, for 4 of the 6 GCC states: Bahrain, Kuwait, Qatar, and the United Arab Emirates. So when we look at the capture fisheries, at the productions, what you can see here is that the fish production in the Gulf has remained relatively unchanged in the past decade, and most of the fish productions comes from 3 countries that have a coastline on the other maritime areas. So let's look at these other maritime areas. What you can see is that Oman is the larger producers, and it is also responsible for the large increase observed in recent years. Yemen comes second, followed to a lesser extent by the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. Here, this is just a small cartogram, you know, that shows you how the regions would look like if the land surface was proportional to the production from the capture fisheries. Now let's look at the production in the Gulf. As I just said a few seconds ago, the fish harvest remained relatively stable in the GCC states. But as you can see in the graph, if we look at the water body level, it has not remained stable. On the contrary, it has been increased. And Iran is responsible for a large part to this increase in production in recent years. The concern is that we have currently little accurate information on the ecology and on the state of several fish stocks, in particular for those that are shared between countries. And there are also some scares, some concern that some emblematic species might be overfished. But on a positive note, a major achievement has been observed for the first time this year with a fishing ban on kingfish that has been implemented by all the GCC states and Iran under the RECOFI chaired by Dr. Ali Al-Sheikhi, who will be talking very shortly. So in this context, where fish harvest is stable in most of the GCC countries, and where the reliance on imports remains high, all the country wants to develop their aquaculture production. And I just give here 3 examples taken from the region, but I think all the countries today are looking to invest in the sector. So indeed, today, aquaculture in the desert is not a mirage. The idea emerged in the 1963, 1965, and FAO organized a first global technical workshop on the topics in 2010. In the region, a landmark activity was the Water Scarcity Initiative, which exploits various water-saving aquaculture technologies in recent years. I will provide you, I'm highlighting a few documents. I will provide you with the links to download the reports and the publication. I will post it on the chat. So what is the current state of the aquaculture production in the GCC states and Yemen? Aquaculture production has been growing very fast. As you can see, we go from almost zero to more than 70,000 tons. But it is largely dominated by Saudi Arabia, that accounts for 94.7% of the total production, with an estimated 72,000 tons. As a comparison, this second graph is the same as the first one by excluding the Saudi Arabia production. And on this graph, you can see that in the FAO database, the second largest producers in UAE is the United Arab Emirates with an estimated 3,350 tons, and Oman, followed by Oman with 450 tons. However, you know, there is always a delay in the statistics. These are the latest ones, which are for 2019. But we know that a lot has happened in the last 2 years, and most likely change will be observed when the FAO statistics will be updated with the latest production figures reported by the countries. Aquaculture in GCC is very diverse in terms of species. 39 species have already been reported as being farmed. 23 marine finfish, 10 freshwater finfish, 4 shrimp, 1 oyster, and 1 sea cucumber. And in 2019, the main species farmed in the region were the white shrimp, the tilapia, and the sea bream, the gilded sea bream. But if we exclude again Saudi Arabia, the profile is a little bit different, with the species, the main species produced being the sea bream, followed by the European sea bass, the tilapia, the Indian white prawn, the grouper, and the sturgeon. Now let's have a look at the main technologies that are employed. So of course, freshwater is scarce in the desert and it is highly valuable. But because of this also, the local population have a strong and ancestral expertise in managing freshwater by using the ingenious afflage irrigation systems. So this is a picture from an afflage in Oman. And here, these nice pictures of Mr. Al-Mansouri, is the owner of a freshwater fish farm in Liwa Oasis, on the border of what is called the Empty Quarter, the world's largest uninterrupted desert and sand mass. However, with the water scarcity, integrated or recirculated aquaculture are the main venues for producing freshwater species. For example, many reservoirs are being built to increase water storage, so integrated irrigation aquaculture production could be practiced by putting cages in the water storage, for example. Another interesting option is these pictures. It's aquaponics, and this is an example taken from Dr. Gallardo's research at Sultan Qaboos University in Oman. Another example that I wanted to highlight, although I don't know personally this company, but this is the fish farm in Bahrain, the United Aquaculture Company. Because they are diversifying their revenues by combining fish farming with aquatourism. And as you know, aquatourism has proven to be an effective driver of aquaculture development in many parts of the world, and also a driver of increasing fish consumption in many countries, like I've been working in Brazil, and that was typically the case there. So this could be an option also for the Arabian Peninsula, and it's already the case in Bahrain. In the desert, brackish water is available in many areas. And here, this is the result of an assessment conducted by Dr. Pantanella for FAO of the various technologies that could be appropriate for salinized agricultural farms in the Emirates of Abu Dhabi. As you can see, this includes marine or freshwater intensive recirculation systems, biofloc systems, or aquaponics. However, the bulk of the production currently comes from the intensive recirculated aquaculture systems. In fact, these RAS are the same that are promoted in temperate or cold countries to sustainably farm species like salmon inland. So, as you understand, it is not surprising that salmon be farmed in the UAE desert now. Farming salmon in the Yemen a few years ago was a nice movie, but today, farming salmon in the UAE is a smart reality. So this slide presents the three main projects that I know in the United Arab Emirates. You have fish farms in Dubai, you have Emirate Fish Farm in Radakwa in Al Wadba and Abu Dhabi, and Al Jarrah Fisheries in Abu Dhabi. But in fact, you have similar projects all over the region. Another technology that can be relevant for some countries, at least for the countries where the land availability in the coastline is not an issue, which is not the case of all the countries. For example, in countries like Bahrain, access to the coast is difficult. In Dubai also it's difficult, but in countries where it's not a problem, it can be a very smart technology. This is the case of the coastal pond aquaculture, with here the example of the Saudi National Aquaculture Group, the NACA. Another example, which is more at the prototype level, but I think it's an interesting experimental approach. It's this integrated systems, which is located almost in the center of Abu Dhabi city. This integrated systems aims at farming the salicornia, you know, the plant, the saline resistant, saline tolerant plant, for producing airline biofuel. And as you can see, on the 16th of January of 2019, a first commercial flight has been able to operate between Abu Dhabi and Amsterdam by using the biofuel produced from this salicornia. Of course, when it comes to farming fish directly in the marine environment, the technical model for finfish production is the cage model. So this technology is very appropriate along the coast of the Red Sea, of the Oman Sea, or the Indian Oceans. And you may have seen before that Saudi Arabia and Oman have invested a lot in identifying areas with a potential for aquaculture development along their coast. However, it is more complicated in the Gulf because the Gulf is a shallow marine area with very high temperature, particularly during the summer, and also very high salinity. So we are currently working in the United Arab Emirates with the government, with the UAE Food and Water Security Office, on assessing the best technologies for fish farming in this kind of challenging environment, shallow, hot temperature, and high salinity. I would like to remind also another areas that when it comes to marine farming in marine aquaculture, it's the oysters and the other mollusks that have a huge potential to generate both income, but also contribute to food security. As you may remember, the report that was published last year by the high-level panel on the ocean economy. So this is an example taken again from the United Arab Emirates of the Diba oyster farms in Fujairah. So after reviewing the different models, let's talk a little bit about the inputs needed for aquaculture. When it comes to fish seeds, as you can see, there are many hatcheries already in the region. This table is probably not exhaustive. There might be more, but these are the ones that for which I have knowledge. What you can see that there are not only many farms, but also many species that are being produced in the regions. Some of these hatcheries are public. That's the case, for example, of the Abu El Abiad or the National Mariculture Center in Bahrain. Others are private, like in Aquat, Tabuk Fisheries, etc. in the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. And others, like the recently created Sheikh Khalifa Marine Research Center and Marine Innovation Park in the United Arab Emirates, are operated as a public-private partnership. One example here from Bahrain, from the National Mariculture Center in Bahrain, because they have a unique experience in breeding various species of native species from the Gulf, and also because the NMC is the focus of a project between FAO and the Ministry of Works, Municipalities Affairs and Urban Planning of Bahrain, which aims at modernizing the facility. Another critical input for aquaculture development is the feed. And maybe that could be a more limiting factor than fish seeds as of today. Indeed, if we consider a feed conversion ratio that is over 2 for many species in the regions, we need at least twice more feeds than the aquaculture production targeted. And as of today, not many countries, excluding Saudi Arabia, have this production. So the largest companies have their own feed plants. Saudi Arabia is also producing feeds for a certain number of species, but for the other countries, feeds needs to be imported, and this has a cost, and it also creates some concern with regard to the quality of feeds because of the high temperature during the storage. This could affect, for example, the nutritional value of the feed. So to conclude, I would like to give a few elements about the future challenge for the regions at different scales. So at the national level first, I think that the main challenge for the government will be to support their industries to avoid this boom and bust dynamics that were observed in the past, you know, where you have a quick increase in production, and then a few years after, the production goes back to zero. That's what we don't want to see now. So how to do this? It will require at the same time to protect and to support the existing operators, whatever their size, whether the small scale or the very large scale, and also to attract new investors to the sector. I think it is very important because too frequently the focus is exclusively put on the new investors, but in fact we really need to at the same time to support the existing producers and attract the new investors to create economies of scale. To do this, the government will need to tackle the challenge holistically by implementing a sustainable food system. I'm using a FAO jargon because that's what we are promoting, but really the idea is that you have many interconnected components. And for example, aquaculture, if you consider aquaculture, will not be able to upscale if you don't have fish seeds or if you don't have fish feeds. But also, if you have no aquaculture, then you will not have fish feed. So you see, it's a little the problem of the chicken and eggs dilemma. And all these parameters, all those elements are interconnected and they must be managed holistically. I think there are also a certain number of challenges at the regional level, at least for 2 points of view. First of all, for the mutualization of cost, whether it be for the expertise, for the research, for the education, for the knowledge sharing, or even for the genetic improvement. We have seen that we have many hatcheries in the regions, and it could make sense for the countries to implement a regional management of their genetic resources for developing local strains that are particularly well adapted to the region. The development of the regional trade will also imply some kind of coordination. One important area is biosecurity that I could also have included in the mutualization of trade, but I want to highlight, for example, for the market for the fry trade. If you have some countries that want to export the fingerlings that they are producing, this cannot go if you don't have a strong biosecurity framework, because we don't want to introduce disease from one region to the another one. So definitely, biosecurity is a very important component, whatever the case. But in the case of the regional trade, and particularly the regional trade of live animal, it is particularly important. Also, the non-tariff barriers to trade when it comes to inputs like feeds, etc., etc. And finally, oh yes, sorry. And what I wanted to say, I've already mentioned the RECOFI a few minutes ago about the fishing ban on kingfish. But I would like to mention also that there is a working group on aquaculture at RECOFI. It is being chaired by Dawood Al-Yayay with the WGA chair. And this could be, this RECOFI working group on aquaculture could be a good venue to discuss these regional opportunities and challenges. And if you want to have more information about the RECOFI, you have the link available here. Finally, at the operator level, the challenges are both technical and commercial, I believe. Based on preliminary data that I have from the production in the regions, at least in the UAE, the average margin for the domestically produced fish is between 35 cents and 1.5 US dollar per kg, depending on the species. But the average price of imported product is lower than the production cost. So really, the price paid for the locally produced species is very critical. So there are two areas for the farm operators. One will be to reduce the production cost, and part of this will come by generating economies of scale. The more the industry will grow, the more there will be economies of scales, and also by adopting the right technologies. When it comes to the price, there is a need to have a fair price for the domestic product, and also the market could be a good option. So just probably a last slide, because I've been a little bit long, but last week I bought from the same supermarket in Abu Dhabi several salmon fillets with different origin and different qualities. And as you can guess, I have been eating a lot of fish this week. Thank you, INFOFISH. And as you can see, the locally produced organic salmon here, produced in the United Arab Emirates, is the second more expensive at 50 USD per kg after the Irish organically certified salmon. In the meantime, the imported non-certified salmons from Norway at 27 USD per kg or Scotland at 33 USD per kg are much cheaper. So definitely the organic investing in quality and investing in certification is certainly a good option to ensure a profitable business for locally produced farm fish. Just a conclusion, FAO is producing regional reviews every 5 years. The last batch dates back to 2015, so we will be releasing in a few weeks, in October, in fact, the 2020 batch that you may be able to download from this website. These are some of the publication and links that I will post on the chat. And thank you very much. Shukran jazilan. Over to you, Victoria.
Thank you, Dr. Lionel. Really very interesting, very informative presentation. I have a few questions for you. First one. What are the major seafood commodities imported by Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and UAE?
Pardon?
See, what are the major seafood commodities imported by Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, and UAE?
I don't have data on the trade this part. The major seafood. I have to answer later. I can check during the meeting. I have not the information right now.
Okay, we can go back to this question later. Yeah. One more question. What are the future development plans for GCC region from FAO?
Definitely, we have I think that the main challenge will be to allow and to continue support the development of aquaculture in the regions. As of now, we are at the beginning stage, and at the beginning stage, the difficulties are very big, because you have to manage everything. You have to focus on the production, of course. You have to focus on the regulations. You have to focus on the feeds, on the inputs, on the markets, etc. So you have really a big thing. So generally, it's more difficult to go from 0 to 50,000 tons than go from 50,000 tons to 200,000 tons. But I think the main challenge will be this one. So from the point of view FAO, what we are tackling right now is to try to identify the main constraints that are faced by the countries, and start implementing a process for supporting and for the smooth operations, to avoid that after a big investment in the current years, we observe a reduction in the future.
Thank you. And finally, one last question. We are all looking forward to see aquaculture development in the region. So what would be your advice to investors who are targeting the GCC countries?
What would be
your advice to investors?
To investors. Well, I think that the environment is quite positive now, with a strong political support. So I think that the challenge is really to focus not on the technical vision, but on the market vision, and assess this dimension. I think that one part of the interest that aquaculture has in the region, that the region has for aquaculture, is that there is a tradition, and with some marine species which are highly valued, and sometimes we focus a little on the technology and the species, but in fact the most important is really the market, because that's what is going to be the success of the investment. And today the market, the operations are profitable, they are successful, but there is also a huge competition from the import products. So there is a need to assess the market and see how you can differentiate your products from the imported products.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Lionel.
Thank you.
And now we move on to the next panelist, Dr. Ali Sheikhi. He graduated in biology from Qura University in Saudi Arabia and obtained his PhD degree in human resource management from Hillsborough University. At present, he's the Director General of Fisheries Department and CEO of the National Fisheries Development Program of the Ministry of Environment, Water and Agriculture in Saudi Arabia. He's also playing a key role as chairman and member of many national and regional technical committees related to aquaculture and fisheries. Dr. Ali is going to discuss about seafood market and consumer trends in the region. Over to you, Dr. Ali. Thank you very much.
Music.
We can see your screen. Yeah, okay, thank you.
No sound.
Dr. Ali, the microphone is off.
Okay. Good day, everybody. Thank you very much for introducing me, Dr. Victoria. I would like to thank also Dr. Lionel for his impressive presentation and the valuable information which will drive us for the future development in the region, inshallah. My show will be a seafood market and the consumer behavior in the Saudi Arabia, especially, and region. We don't have difficulties. They are above the normal world range, but we have one of the difficulties in Saudi Arabia, the seafood consumer, and this is our challenge in few years, need to be improved. Aquaculture in Saudi, it came from part of the statement of the Vision 2030. There is a special focus on developing aquaculture in Saudi Arabia. Our vision in National Fisheries Development Program in Saudi Arabia to be comprehensive national strategy aimed to enable the fishery sector to become sustainable and essential for food security in Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. There is 4 areas we are focusing: capture fisheries, to promote the sustainability of the development of the fishery side, and aquaculture to develop the aquaculture sector and to be the leader in the region in aquaculture, either in inland or offshore or in the closed system. Aquatic health animal, this is one of our challenge. Now we are making a special program to develop and to monitor the sector. Research, it is our our aim to promote it, and we are focusing now, and the government give a big attention to develop the research sector in Saudi Arabia. We have 6 objectives to develop the program in Saudi Arabia: building capacity for the new generation, for the young youth, increasing seafood consumption in Saudi Arabia to be an average global, covering the kingdom's seafood need, increase the production of aquaculture to achieve 600 metric thousand ton by 2030, Saudize and make a private relation with the investors, and developing the seafood production value chain in the sector. You can see here in our target, clear where we need to achieve and what is our aim in Saudi Arabia. In the right chart here, you see the growth, gradual growth until we achieve by 2030 the target production, which is designed by the government according to the carrying capacity, according to the opportunities and the potentials in Saudi Arabia. Initiatives to increase seafood consumption. The objective is to improve the economy and changing the demography in Saudi Arabia. Today, in the what you call inside cities, desert cities, the seafood consumption is very rare and very low, and we have a big chance to improve it. And there is a strategy in Saudi Arabia to achieve that part. We have achieved in 19 a good result for production in terms of seafood, sea catch or aquaculture production. The import is still high, 200,000 metric ton we used to import. Now our export extend and expand, and it's growing gradually, especially in crustaceans, shrimp, especially, and sea bream. Now, one of the items which we found the customers are looking for is the label. Label, one of the ideas will be implemented in the whole fishery sector, stores, harbors, auction. And one of the elements now is a country of origin. Today, there is good practice and there is good samples to follow. And this will be one of the key factor which the customers is looking for. In 2018, we import almost 207 metric thousand ton from fish from outside. We export 67, and our production was 139, and stocks almost 7,000. In 2014, if you look to the numbers, we reduced the import, we increased the export, we increased the production. That means our objective and our goals is going as planned. We are trying to maintain our wild catch. This is past 10 years, almost the same number, and the aquaculture production increased. Our major countries we used to import from is Thailand, Oman, Yemen, and Emirates, Myanmar, Indonesia. And this is figures, it's changeable now because of the what you call the local growing of the production in Saudi Arabia. And by 2021, you will see different results. 2025 definitely will be opposite of the existing what we are seeing now. And this is what we are planning to achieve. By 2030, we will have the what you call the self-efficient, inshallah, in fish sector in Saudi Arabia. The key highlight sustainable and quality market positioning and demand. And this is what we are planning and what we are doing now currently with the different sectors and to achieve it. And this is what we focus currently to achieve. Understanding marketing channels. Before this, why we select this subject, actually, because we had a comprehensive study making survey in all the cities in Saudi Arabia. It's covering all the all sides, either coastal side or inside. And there is 2 criteria, B2C and B2B. And there is a few what you call criteria being created and developed. And this market survey lead us what is the future needed for the customers to improve the behavior consumption in Saudi Arabia. This will be available, and the presentation will be, it can be shared with anyone who is interested to have this information. When we go deep in the survey, we found why the people, the users, they are continuous using the seafood, especially in the coastal side. They know the benefits, they know the taste, they have understanding and the closest to the side of the sea, and they are very convenient. The other side, they have health issues. Some of them, they have allergic or any resistant to the fish. Taste, some of the inside cities, they don't like the taste because either the preparation or the quality, it lead to bad taste and it make resistant, non-convenient. It is not one of the items to be delivered. The expense price, this is what we are trying to stabilize in Saudi Arabia, to reduce the price by making availability, good quality, and 3 criteria, and top and medium and low, looking for freshness, quality, this is the top output, medium, price, and the smell and type of fish, this is in between, this need to be improved. The lower side is the source. They are not aware of aquaculture. They thought aquaculture is not healthy, is not similar to the wild, and the channel of purchasing, it is not clear because of the traceability and the clarity of the source and changing the names. It creates inconvenience to the consumer. The trigger factors: 81% availability in the market, looking for fresh seafood in the market. Seafood always available in the stores, 44%. More stores selling high quality seafood. Today, the stores, the outlets looking for the quality, and it is being one of the area to factors to be focused from the customers. 66% quality and the offering prices make heavy, what you call, acceptance in this type. The lower price seafood is affecting the good quality, and 35% of confidence they buy ready cooked seafood. And this is actually what we found recently, that the backing, ready to eat, ready to cook, this is the trend which other people is looking for. And today, one of our future items to be discussed and to be focused is ready to cook, to make it easy and fast to the consumer. Developing the quality in Saudi Arabia came from 3 strong components. It is implemented in all aquaculture companies. Best aquaculture practice, BAB certification. BAB certification, we have now 90% of the operation farms having the certified by BAB. Aquaculture biosecurity, one of our strengths, and luckily Dr. Victoria, she had a big role to develop the local biosecurity system in Saudi Arabia, and we thank her in front of everybody. The Kingdom of Saudi Arabia today, I think we are making good example for biosecurity implementation, and we have partnership with a technical arm in Saudi Arabia. We have full team to focus on biosecurity implementation, regulation, and recently biosecurity became a belief in all farmers and the users. SAMAC certification. SAMAC, one of the items being developed locally, internally in Saudi Arabia. MIWA has thought about how to ensure the quality of the product to the customers. Now, MIWA create a regulation, and SAMAC, it is came out of this one. SAMAC, it has 2 meanings. SAMAC by Arabic, it's SAMAC fish, and English it stands for Saudi Arabia Mark Aquaculture Quality. Aquaculture biosecurity, we have been in what you call why biosecurity being developed and created in Saudi Arabia. There is, as everybody knows, the white spot affected whole the region, and after we realized biosecurity start working well and growing very fast. And today, I think we are one of the leaders in biosecurity as a system in the region. We have almost 64 samples to collected from different companies, from wild, from everywhere. We have developing the local biosecurity SOPs for shrimp, and now we are working for fish, and we have full team to monitor and to be standby. And the good thing now, we developed the emergency team. Once we have any problem in anywhere, the people, they knows what to do and how to do it and who is in charge for it. We have the code of conduct of the biosecurity manual for shrimp, and now we are working for fish sector. Food safety, environmental, social welfare, and animal health. This is our traceability, what we are focusing and working toward to achieve it. BAP, it's one of the key success factors to develop the industry anywhere, not only in Saudi. SAMAC being developed from BAP, and we developed the local criteria, almost 53 or 55 what you call criteria being applied for SAMAC. The companies now, following that regulation, they achieved that scores, and they are now having their SAMAC as a quality mark on their brand, as additional to their brand. And today it is a national. In the future, we will work out to make it a regional and international in the future. To promote SAMAC as a quality mark, we create a program, a training program, education program, and we build the trust with customer, and we make samples for showroom to promote the local production from aquaculture, and we have variety of products. It became attractive to the consumer. This is the aquaculture certification program from SAMAC, which is given by the ministry, and SAS is the technical partner that applied for the auditing SAMAC for stores, for companies, production side. This is the looks like of in the store, the SAMAC quality. It's a beer, and it's having the trust from the customer. And we used to repeat, it is environmental friendly, seafood traceability, and clean and hygiene product. All this is one of the requirement criteria for SAMAC product. Different label, different brand, different banners distributed everywhere. A showcase to develop the SAMAC as a quality. We are now repeating the showcase in different cities, and this will make a big difference and create the trust from the customers. We try to educate and to provide a cleaned, bagged, and vacuumed product to the customers with a clean label, clean information, the source, the production date, and the type, the name, local name, international name, all this information. It's building the trust to the customer, and this is what we are increasing and growing of the seafood consumption in Saudi Arabia. Even we have the developing now the recipes, which is taking good chance, and we create recent agreement with the different university to develop different recipes. This will be make it along with the product, and the customers, when he goes to the supermarket, he will collect the product, bagged, cleaned, and immediately there is a recipes can be attached to that product, it will make it easy for the family for the developing the seafood consumption inside the houses. Thank you very much. I hope this information will be received positively to your side. And if you have any question, any information additional, we can share it and we can elaborate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ali. Excellent presentation. Dr. Lionel was referring to the challenge of the market and understanding it, and the consumer behavior. It really is the first step forward. Thank you. And I must say that I feel very proud to collaborate closely with Dr. Ali and Miwa, and the great support for aquaculture of the Saudi government to all of us. We have a few questions. Before that, I have a few announcements. Panelists, there are questions coming up slowly, so if you have the time, please to answer in the chat box during the next presentation, that would be appreciated. Also, the links to the documents that Dr. Lionel mentioned are already posted in the chat. And finally, we would like to ask you to answer the poll questions in the Zoom platform to help us to evaluate the webinar and make improvements. So, Dr. Ali, if I could pose some questions to you. One of them is, how does halal certification add value to seafood imports?
Actually, halal is one of the key elements which we work with the SFDA in Saudi Arabia to develop it as a regulation, and it will affect the local and the imports. Halal, it is essential for us in Saudi Arabia to be part of our what you call criteria for import and export as well.
Thank you. A second question. Seafood consumption in Saudi Arabia is growing about 8% per year and is expected to continue growing until 2030. Considering the National Fisheries Development Program by the Saudi government, do you think this increase in production will be sufficient to tackle the future seafood demand?
Actually, this is two parts. It can be together. The effective will not that be huge because we will continue developing the wild catch, and the seafood production will be work parallel. And today the gap is big. Almost now we are below 50% of the international rank. If we look to our partner, our neighbors, Oman or UAE, we are almost 30%, 70% beyond them in seafood consumption. For that, the gap is huge, the opportunity is high, both sides can work together.
Excellent, thank you. And one last question. You are the chairman of the Regional Committee on Fisheries, RECOFI, FAO. What are the short and long-term plans to increase aquaculture production and attract new investors in the GCC region?
Actually, GCC, if you look to GCC today, if you remember just a few minutes back, Lionel, when he started his presentation, when he said about the region, unknown region for aquaculture, it is a desert mood, a desert site. No one expects that the aquaculture can be grown. Now, aquaculture is grown very fast, not only in Saudi, in the region. I can say every quarter, you will hear either new product came out or new company started the production. And today, the freshwater, the closed system, Ras system, it is, we have in the pipeline today, and it's good to announce it, in the pipeline 14 Ras system companies going to start soon. Now they are either in the construction stage or in the financial to get loan to start, but 14 company in Ras system to start in Saudi Arabia. This is, I think, it will make the change of the look of the aquaculture. Aquaculture is not only in the sea. Today, it can be developed anywhere. And we have seen many samples, many companies have done this one. And today, it is our turn to develop and to grow. But region, Oman, they are working hard and they have their strategy to grow the aquaculture. UAE as well, Kuwait, Bahrain, everywhere. Qatar, all countries in region, they have their initial essential, what you call, growth of the aquaculture as one of the key components for food security and economy as well.
Excellent. Thank you, Dr. Ali. Thank you very much. So if Dr. Lionel and Dr. Ali, you are able to answer some of the questions in the chat box, that would be appreciated.
Sure, we will do it.
Move on to the next panelist is Dr. Abdulaziz Al-Masouki. He has more than 20 years of experience in the fisheries sector. He obtained his bachelor degree in fisheries science from the Sultan Qaboos University in Oman in '95, a master degree in the Fisheries University at Hull University in UK. He obtained his PhD degrees on natural resource management from Bremen University in Germany in 2011. Dr. Al-Masouki has performed his duties successfully as the head of the Marine Biology section and director of the Marine Science and Fisheries Center under the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries in Oman. At present, he's holding the position of Director General of Fisheries Resource Development under the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries. Today, Dr. Abdulaziz is going to present on the subject of Oman fisheries and aquaculture, present status and future outlook. Thank you very much, Dr. Abdulaziz. Please.
Thank you, Dr. Victoria, for the introduction. I would like to thank INFOFISH for their efforts in organizing these events, and I'm honored to be with my colleagues here today. I will talk in a brief, I will share my presentation, just a minute, please. Yeah, I will talk in a brief about fisheries and aquaculture in Oman, the present status and future outlook. Fisheries in Oman is a centuries-old tradition. Omani people in the past and the present work as fishermen. They landing about 95 of our total landing. Oman is known to have the longest coastline among the GCC. It's about 3,165 kilometers. We are producing about 580,000 tons per year with a value of $795 million. That is at the first sale. And the sector is employing about 60,000 national. The total production, as you see, it has a steady growth over the last 9 years with average annual growth about 267%. In the period for 2011 up to 2019, and the average annual value about 149% for the same period. Here we have some facts about the fisheries sector in Oman. It is an important sector in Oman, and that comes from 3 key elements. The strategic geographical location in the Indian Ocean, also the richness in the biodiversity, as well as the lengthy coastline and the huge area of EEZ. Also, fisheries in Oman is one of the most promising non-oil of income. Oman is self-sufficient in the fish and sea production. About 55 kg Oman per capita consumption per year. And we export about 35 to 50% of our total landing to the world markets. As I said, we have richness in biodiversity. More than 1,000 species is registered in the Omani waters due to its location open to Indian Ocean and having a natural unique phenomena known as monsoon. Our fishing fleets consist of 4 types, between the traditional fiberglass right on the top up to the modern commercial fishing ships. In total, we're having 25,000 fishing units. We do have 25 well-established fishing ports along the coastline of the Oman, north to the south, yet there's others coming on their way. The picture down here, as you see it in the right side, represents one of the modern fishing ports we have in the northern of Oman, Batna Governorate, taken by one of investors here in Oman. It has a board dock for the fishermen. It has maintenance, workshops, fish markets, spare parts markets, And in combination with that, it has shopping mall, hotels, marina, and working bath for the local community. On the other side, on the left side down here, you will see a fishing port in Duqm, located in Duqm industrial area on the Arabian Sea side. And this area location linked to the strategic marine routes with Asia, Africa, Europe. This fishing port is the largest and right in the middle of the industrial area, where investors can have their processing factories and fish landing points to be processed and marketed locally and internationally. Oman we do have two commercial ports. One is Sohar port in the north area and Salalah port on the south area. They are linked directly with the 86 international ports in the more than 40 countries, about 200 weekly direct trips there. And they have weekly direct lines, for example, to France, to Spain, UK, and other countries in Europe. Also, they have direct lines with China, Thailand, and Russia. We do have a central wholesale markets where fish received from 7 coastal governorates, where electronic auction taking place and different companies and traders compete. During the pandemic, the ministry support one of the SMEs to create electronic platform named as Al-Bihar, and this platform electronic help to facilitate the work of the central market by displaying the quantities without attending physically on the central market, keeping the flow of the fish and the sales going on even with the lockdowns. This has helped the natural resources, fish coming from them, and for aquaculture also. Also, we do have more than 55 quality processing plants. They're having their quality control center, which applying the HACCP system. In production, we are making for 2019 is 580,000 tons, and we are importing 35,000 tons. In total, we are making 615,000 tons. Out of it, 34% is exported to the international market, and 66% is for the local market. Most of our export going to Asia with a percent of 41%. And the others ranking second is GCC country. We are exporting to them about 35%. And the rest to Africa, Europe, US, and with a minimal exports. Recently, a couple of companies managed in the private sector in Oman managed to be certified and enter the Russian market. Fisheries sector vision 2040 for the sector. The vision is to create a world-class, profitable, and environmentally sustainable fisheries sector. This vision will generate improved economic value through better governance of fisheries and environmentally sustainably. Also, to provide new opportunities for the private sector's investment, and the vision will help to stimulate innovation and make value chain more efficient and add value to the fish product. By this, it will sequentially and gradually reduce and remove the subsidies as sector B become more profitable. The vision has 4 objectives: is to upgrade the fishing fleet's infrastructure, stakeholders' skills, as well as keeping in mind resource management and research for sustainability of the resources, develop fish marketing, processing, and export, and finally develop commercial aquaculture. Oman locates some investment for incentives for the investors to attract foreign investment. First, no income tax on the personal income. There is a free repatriation of capital and profit. 70% of the foreign ownership could be owned, even 100% is possible. Low corporate income tax is 15%, low energy and the fuel cost, and no duty on import of machinery and equipments. The opportunity in fisheries sector, commercial fisheries and aquaculture. In order to achieve these vision and its objective, so due to the importance of this fisheries sector and sharing the responsibility and ambition with the stakeholders and partner, we had a brainstorm lab where we gather government entities and the private sectors as well as community, including the fishermen themselves. The lab focused on the objective like harnessing Oman natural biomass potential in the Sea of Oman, Arabian Sea, and Indian Ocean, developing high-value aquaculture projects in collaboration with the private sector, and driving investment in a thriving process and exports sector focused on value addition to the raw producer. The three objectives of this lab is to increase the contribution to GDP from 225 million riyal in 2016 up to 1.3 billion riyal in 2023, and to generate investment 80% from the private sector, 20% will be from government side, and that's probably mostly for the infrastructure, and to increase the fishing landing from 280,000 metric ton in 2006 up to 1.3 million metric ton in 2023, and almost 45% has been achieved, as we now doing 580,000 ton landed by the fishermen. The lab has focused on three pillars: the catch pillar, where where it has objective to increase the landing, as I said, up to 1.3 million by 2023, and generate total investment of 200 million riyal by 2023, mainly from the private sectors. The other pillars is aquaculture. Again, we are aiming to have production 200,000 ton by 2023, and contribution to GDP by 300 million riyal. And I will come later with more details about the aquaculture. The third pillar was processing products and growing export. The main aim was to increase share of value added and processed product from 0% as in 2017 up to 30% as much as possible of the total production in 2023. For the fisheries, we are now talking about, this is related to the fisheries opportunity and fisheries sector, commercial side. Fisheries stock in Oman has mainly four categories: the demersal fish, the small pelagic, and myctophoid and tuna species. According to our surveys that we are done for the resources, we have about 327,000 tons of biomass for demersal fish, and we are making out of it is 88,000. For the small pelagic, we have 1.9 million tons of biomass, and we are making 349,000 tons. This is the small pelagic where we allocate for the commercial investment. Myctophoids, according to the surveys, we have 1.3 million tons of myctophoids, and so far it is a virgin stock. Nobody is exploiting it. Tuna species, as all we know, it's a migratory species, and we are making out of it 115,000 tons. Investment opportunity according to our commercial fishery plan, we from 2019 to 2023, we launching the program for the commercial fishery for large pelagic and small pelagic. We are targeting in total 200 licenses to be introduced in Oman. For the longliners, mostly for large pelagic, 150 license, and bear seiner is 40%. Poland line is 10%, whereas for small pelagic, we are targeting 15 license for bear seiner. So far, we are permitting 26 for longliners, 4 for the tuna bear seiner, and 11 for the small pelagics. According to that program launched back in 2019, you will see that in 2013, our catch was 398 ton. And due to launching that program in 2019, we managed to reach 20,000 tons produced from commercial fleets. And Oman Pelagic is one of the pioneer company that here in Oman leading the commercial fisheries class. And there are three vessels out of the 8 that they're gonna own in the coming years. Investment opportunities in the fishing processing. Fleet operators shipyards, marine construction, repair and maintenance, logistic and storage facility, fish trades, supply of spare parts, supply of fishing gear and equipments. Opportunities in aquaculture. Oman has identified aquaculture as being a key pillar to diversifying its national economy beyond the hydrocarbon sector. Also, economic and technical studies on aquaculture qualify Oman to be a leading country in the region. What aquaculture in Oman? Why aquaculture in Oman? Aquaculture means in Oman food security. It means contribution to GDP, attracting foreign investment. It's a job creation to us and stock enhancement. Why to invest in Oman? Oman has many features. For example, we have longest coastline and suitable marine environment, many suitable cultured species. It's a friendly, attractive investment environment, government commitment to develop aquaculture, and we see that through the labs for the aquaculture and the fisheries. Availability of administration and legal framework. We have a well-developed infrastructure and good support of logistics, well-developed fish processing sector. Again, back to the labs. As I said, we have dedicated labs for fisheries and dedicated lab for aquaculture. The aquaculture lab was to increase, as I said, contribution to GDP by 300 million riyal by 2023. And it has 4 pillars. One, shellfish for Finfish. There are about 8 initiatives. We're going to see that some of them has been already executed. There are 4 initiatives from the government side is to improve the process of aquaculture project approval, and that has been done. Increasing the land allocation for the future aquaculture project, and that has been done also. We have allocated and dedicated sites for aquaculture projects. For the other one is developing the skill of aquaculture. It's an ongoing process and led by the private sector. And finally, the National Aquaculture Health and Management. This is a cage projects where the company done by the Blue Water Company. They are culturing gill head bream. The production of this project is 3,000 tons per year. Their contribution to GDP is expected to be 2 million riyal, and investment is 2.7 million riyal. We do have 4 projects for the shrimp. 2 of them is under construction. The Corona project is about expected to produce 4,700 tons per year, and their contribution to GDP is about 4.6 million, and it is under construction phase, as I said. The other one is Khawaima project, producing 3,400 tons per year, and expecting contribution to GDP by 3.6 million riyal. Both of these projects are expected to be fully operated in the first quarter of 2021. The other 2 are in the planning and study phase, and most huge one, and we expected from Barrel Hikman project to produce about 43,000 tons per year, with a contribution to GDP about 25.9 million riyal. The other projects that we have here in Oman, beside the shrimp project, we have a salmon project here in the north area, and we have algae cultivation bio projects in the east of Oman. Also, we do have 2 projects for abalone. It's in the south side of Oman. One of them is ready to be launched by December 2020. Investment opportunities in aquaculture, it could be in shrimp culture. We have more lands for that. Fin cage culture, we do have also scope for abalone culture. Fish feed for aquaculture, we are focusing on that. As Yunan said, this is one of the risks that aquaculture sector is facing. We do have hatcheries now, and more are more welcomed. Also opportunities for supply of technology, supply of nets, and fish farms operation. What Oman provides for investors in aquaculture is investment incentives, as I mentioned earlier. We do have one-stop shop for aquaculture. We do have all required information for business and environmental studies. We do provide soft loans from funders, technical support during the phases of the project. And what Oman is looking from the investor is investment commitment with a quality, of course, provide appropriate technical assistance, provide job opportunities for Omani people, and commitment of social responsibilities. Here are some issues regarding the aquaculture. We do have Atlas. It contains suitable site for aquaculture in Oman. We do have investment guideline for the investors. We do have issues, better management practices for the Omani aquaculture. Thank you for your valuable time and keen interest.
Thank you very much. Very, very interesting, Dr. Abdulaziz. Very impressive developments.
Thank you.
We have a couple of questions, please. Fishing is considered to be one of the oldest activities in Oman, and seafood consumption is one of the highest in the world, almost 29 kilos per year. So seems that the market is not currently a challenge for Oman. So do you think that further development of seafood product is promising, or you may face a challenge due to market saturation?
Well, fisheries sector in Oman in this part of the world is, I would say, it is a common heritage to the local population and ancestral activity in the region, as it has history go back 100 years in times. To best describe the fisheries sector in Oman, I would qualify it as a sector primarily practiced by modern small-scale fishing fleets, together with the traditional dhows and the new and modern fishing vessels. The fact that small-scale fleets is making for us about 95%, but we do have alongside with it two modern fleets. It's a coastal fleets and what we call it is commercial fleets. In regard of the marketings, it's true that we face some difficulties during the pandemics, but with the electronic platform that facilitate the work and the flow of the fish from the local landing up to the central market and up to the world market through the good and excellent logistics that we have from the ports and others.
Thank you. One last question. Last year, there was an increase in aquaculture production by 133% compared to 2018, which is a very impressive growth. And you have described all the facilities that the government gives for the promotion of aquaculture. Can you comment on this, and also, what are the main challenges to continue with such a growth?
Yes, the Sultanate of Oman is uniquely well positioned to take advantage of the opportunities presented by the aquaculture sector. It's situated in the southern eastern Arabian Peninsula, along with the long coastline. Unpolluted coastline featuring a deep drop of ocean shelf and nutrient-rich upwelling. Oman has a centuries of fisheries tradition as ideally suited for farming a variety of key fish and other aquatic species. Using a range of aquaculture methods, Oman has identified aquaculture as being key pillar to diversify its national economy beyond the hydrocarbon sector. Also, Oman combination of natural resources, world-class infrastructure, I would say attractive financial incentive and committed government authorities make Oman uniquely well positioned to take advantage of the opportunity presented by the aquaculture sector. As part of Oman government effort is to further diversify the national economy. And government is committed to developing a world-class, sustainable, and socially responsible aquaculture sector that will provide attractive return to the investor and lasting benefit to Omani commitment.
Thank you, Dr. Abdulaziz. Very impressive. Before we move on to the last speaker, I would like to remind participants to answer the poll questions in the Zoom platform, please. So finally, we have Mr. Abdul Kader Al Ahmad, is the General Manager of Kuwait, Aquaculture Consulting Establishment, and the Vice President of the Kuwait Society for Specialized Studies and Research. He retired as an Associate Research Scientist from the Kuwait Institute for Scientific Research, KIRS, in 2011. He also accomplished his role as a project leader for Kuwait tilapia hatchery during 2007 to 2011 period. Mr. Abdul Kader, Sorry.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, he has more than 30 years of experience in marine shrimp and tilapia aquaculture. He obtained his bachelor degree in zoology and microbiology from the Kuwait University in the 80s and received a postgraduate diploma in aquaculture and fisheries management from University of Stirling, UK in 89. He's going to present the status of aquaculture development and future opportunities in Kuwait. Please.
Hi, everybody. Thank you, Victoria, and thank you, INFOFISH, for organizing this webinar. My talk will be status of aquaculture development and future opportunities in Kuwait. Kuwait fisheries have been affected as everybody else in the world with COVID-19. The government implemented a curfew in March and affected all businesses. And the fisheries activities was interrupted and reopened in July, but for small boats. And now the big companies, they are starting to do fisheries. Frozen seafood replaced fish local catches, and imports stopped due to border control closures. Significant impact on prices for fish products. The new online marketing of seafood override the previous myth in seafood. My talk outline, I'll be talking about Kuwait, concentrating on aquaculture. Then I'll talk about Kuwait plan for 2035 and future opportunities. Kuwait is a very small country, is 4.8 million inhabitants, and we have 17,818 kilometers of land, very small. Desert climate is very harsh, and in summertime it reaches 50 degrees. We experienced this in last August. A cooler winter, temperatures falling below zero. This is in January. So we have only 3 months of cold weather in Kuwait. It's a very harsh desert climate. It's not good for aquaculture. Coastline length 400 kilometers, including 9 islands. Seawater for aquaculture, look for temperature. Coastal waters 31 to 33 degrees centigrade in summer, and seldomly falls to 13 degrees centigrade. So for fish cages, it's a little bit difficult. We have 240 and 270 days a year for cages. Salinity, mean salinity, this data from Oceanography program here in Kuwait, Kuwait Institute of Scientific Research. The mean salinity 38 parts per thousand in May and 41 parts per thousand in November. Dissolved oxygen, it's good for aquaculture, and monthly mean DO and the coastlines 5 milligrams per liter to 10 milligrams per liter. These are means. Bathymetry, very shallow waters, 10 to 30 meter, and I have to add, we have from the north, from Iraq, we have and Iran, we have freshwater coming to the Gulf. So we have the salinity will be increased as we go north of the Gulf region. Brackish water in the desert, mean salinity reaches 3 to 7 parts per thousand. In the map, it's in the north, Abdili, where you find here Abdili. It's in the north, it's 3 to 7 parts per thousand. And it's 5 to 12 parts per thousand means of salinity. In the south here in Wafra, down south in Wafra to the borders to Saudi Arabia. And as you see, these are the aquifers of salinity, of brackish water, and been used. And only these two, the two areas in the north and the south, they are producing agriculture, farming with using also, as you see in the picture, some fiberglass tanks and concrete tanks, private farms. Who is doing aquaculture, or who is responsible for aquaculture? It's the Public Authority for Agriculture and Fisheries Resources, PAFA, and this I listed their sites. And they have a tilapia hatchery, a small tilapia hatchery. They are subsidizing fish feed for farm license permits. Also, they issue permits, and they establish in the new plan 2035. They are the organizing body for aquaculture in Kuwait. Within PAFR, they have the regional RICE, the Regional Aquaculture Information System. It's a regional experts meeting to promote and develop sector in the region, aquaculture sector, and including Iran and other countries in the Gulf, Arabian Gulf. Of course, number one, we started in 1965 with the Kuwait Institute of Scientific Research. They do research and development of aquaculture, establish a marine fish hatchery for a private company, and supervise aquaculture new plan. Kuwait National Fund, they supervise the funding for a new aquaculture plan 2035. It's a government. And Central Statistical Bureau, they issue the annual bulletin fisheries of statistics. And the Environmental Public Authority, they assess all the projects, the new projects for the new plan. Of course, FAO, we provide them with they issue aquaculture country reports, statistics, and recoffee meetings. All the data of aquaculture is from FAO, of course. Aquaculture in Kuwait, the status, we started 65. It's a bit earlier than that. It's in the 50s with a shrimp hatchery with a Japanese company and research station. And we established to establish a profitable aquaculture industry and assist government and private funds to develop commercially viable technology for private sector and to apply research in life cycle production, nutrition, pathology, and production systems. As you see here in the small pictures here, the price of pomfret fish, Pampas argentus, this is very expensive fish. It's more than expensive than salmon, the organic salmon that Lionel showed us. It's 65 USD dollars per kilogram, the price. And the Institute Kisser, they are last 10 years they are experimenting with this fish. We have little difficulties. There is some opportunity to start with this fish in Kuwait, but still we have difficulty in spawning and in other parts of the research here. What species to invest in Kuwait? Actually, previously we have experience with shrimp, Penaeus sulcatus, Metapenaeus affinis, and Penaeus japonicus, hatchery and production in raceways and anything ponds. And that was stopped in 1983 because it wasn't commercialized at that time. Grouper, orange spotted grouper, Penephilus coioides. We have experience, and this is a very good candidate for investing in the new plan 2035 of Kuwait. Hatchery protection in tanks and ponds and floating cages. Sea bream, the bluefin sea bream, Spardentex hasta, and the yellowfin sea bream, Acanthopagra salatus. And we, Kisser made work in a hybrid from these two sea breams, fast growing and large size of this fish. Broodstock, of course, we done a lot of work, Kisser has done a lot of work in hatchery and production in tanks and ponds and floating cages. Pomfret fish, as I mentioned here, Pampas argentus, the research is still ongoing, but there is a chance to invest in this fish because of the high price. White leg shrimp, Litopenaeus venemi, production biofloc and aquaculture mimicry. It's a good investment in this shrimp, I'll show you the project will be in 2035. Tilapia, we've done a lot of work in tilapia for the last 50 years, and we came out with Orchromus pilot. It's a candidate for floating cages in the harsh marine seawater. Also, we experimented with Orchromus aureus. There is a chance, and of course, Niloticus with the brackish water is very good growth there, and with this fish. And most of the aquaculture that we have now in Kuwait is with Orchromus niloticus, and also the tilapia, also a candidate to invest also in the future 2035 plan. In Barramundi, it's a candidate to invest in Kuwait and for the future 2035 plan. Lattice carcarifer using grass or any other systems, aquaponics, or even floating cages. Kuwait fisheries satisfy only 15%. This is because of the COVID-19. We don't have the statistics yet, but we expect that only 15% of the second quarter of 2020. 85% will be from the imports, and also the import is interrupted, and we don't have actual figures. So this is 85 because we deduct the 15%. Third population continued to decline as everybody else in the world. Production, aquaculture production is very little in Kuwait. It's only 2% or 1 to 2%. If we see the total consumed fish in 2017, it's 14,000 tons. And out of this, only 28 from local fisheries. And in 2018, it's 11,000 metric tons, and it's only 25%. And in 2019, it's 10,000 tons, and only 30% is local fish. The most 70 to 60% is imported fish, and aquaculture represents only very small, minimal, and brackish groundwater in the desert. In this plan, a new plan, there is a very big opportunity that we add to the local and aquaculture more than 30%. This will be reducing the import and closing the gap between demand and supply. This is the production. It's only 214 metric tons of tilapia, actually. No, 198 in metric tons in 2019. And you see sea bream, they are producing in the desert. They are fishing sea breams in the desert, and grouper as well, but very minimal amounts. Total with ornamental fishes, and it's only 200 metric tons of production right now. This is give us a very big opportunity to the new plan for Kuwait, a new plan to produce more than 4,000 metric tons to increase the amount of produced fish in Kuwait. In 2018, for example, this is very little. Number of fish farms 64, manpower employed 100, the fish feed. And the fish fee, as you see, it's very small. We are planning to go to 4,000 metric tons of production. So this will be changing. What's the aquaculture program we have here? As I mentioned, live food production and formulation of fish feed and fish health management to support aquaculture operation. These are areas where opportunities will emerge for the new plan for aquaculture. Tilapia, of course, introduced. What's the plan? We have two main production sites, one for the fish cages and one for shrimp raceways. This is the plan. The fish cages, we are planning to produce to 1,000 metric tons per year with high economic fish species like grouper and sea breams. And the site has been selected by EPA, Environmental Public Authority, and PAFAR, of course, they are responsible for the site. This is from my site that Orchromus pylorus can be added to the fish cages project. The shrimp raceways, the other project is white shrimp Litopenis benami. We will do only the nursery and grow out in raceways. And also we have, you see the sketch here. It's for the ponds in north of Kuwait in Tabiya area where all those ponds will be, the effluents will be on the Gulf water. So we have to have an effluent treatment bioponds before to filter the water before it enters to the environment. And this project will bring shrimp prices down and will enhance the shrimp farming industry, promote the food security in Kuwait. The planned production of shrimp is 3,000 metric tons in the new plan, and building about more than 300 concrete raceways. These projects will be given to investors, and this is a big opportunity for them to produce shrimp or in floating cages fish. The opportunities to do this floating cages project, Kisser, PAFAR, and New Kuwait, the government, they establish a hatchery with a private company, and they already started, and it's under construction. And also EPA, they are also with the private sector, they do assessment, environmental assessment for the projects. So all those opportunities. The sites approved by Municipal of Council and PAFAR 3 years ago, and the plans is already there in drone, and they are waiting for investors to come and share their work. Other opportunities, they will produce 30 million fingerlings per year in the hatchery. It will be in after, I think, 2 years from now, they will produce. And PAFAR, of course, the body that issue permits and license for cage and shrimp farms. And private sector established floating cages, they are looking for it. And shrimp companies use bioflux technology or aquamimicry. It's a big opportunity for private sector. Aquaponics and RAS farms will be founded by small companies as well. And other opportunities we have, supervise the plan will invest in producing jumbo shrimp, and to assist companies to invest in barramundi. This is the site where the hatchery is. It's a Mariculture and Fisheries Department, Kuwait Institute of Scientific Research. And another opportunity we have is setting up an integrated multi-trophic aquaculture farm, MITA. And this is a big, good opportunity for investors, and producing cobia and European sea bream and other species. We have another opportunities, freshwater shrimp and crabs will be produced by private companies. Processing plant will be built in, for 2,000 square meters for handling and for shrimp. And other opportunities we have as well, we will establishing fish pathology and nutrition laboratories. All these are, we don't have commercial. Now with this plan 2035, these opportunities is very good for investors because we don't have all this. We have in Kuwait Institute of Scientific Research, but it's for research purposes. It's not commercial. Now all the farms in the desert in brackish water farm, tilapia, Kisser is supervising and supply all the information needed. We need more working force for the new plan. Also, we need a lot of investors to come and share our new plan. And also, at the end, I'll, of course, thank all my colleagues in Kisser and PAFAR, and they are doing a very good job in this new plan for Kuwait to develop aquaculture. I concluded my talk, and thank you all for sharing my experience in this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Abdul Kader. Very, very insightful presentation. We have some questions from you. We just received one saying, what are the technical risks of aquaculture salmon in Kuwait? And is there a market need for it in Kuwait, or
I can't hear you.
Hello, can you hear me now? Mr. Abdul Kader, can you hear me? Can the rest hear me? Dr.
Yes.
Lionel?
Yes, yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, Mr. Abdul Kader, can you hear me?
I can't hear anything.
No. Maybe, do you have headphones? Maybe you can unplug them? No?
I can't hear you. Sure.
I think we will have to move on. Then we will place the question for Mr. Abdul Kader in the chat box. So I would like to thank you. You know, all the panelists. It has been a privilege to have such a high level.
I can't hear anything.
Yes, that's okay. Maybe we. In the chat, we can mention him that we move on. Questions will be sent to the chat box. Okay. So, yes, with these 4 presentations, we can finalize this webinar.
Doctor?
Yes, tell me.
Can you hear me? Dr. Victor, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. I think Dr. Abdul Kader can reconnect and join, and disconnect and rejoin again. It will be better.
Yes, but maybe we can mention it in the chat box because he cannot hear us.
I can't hear anything.
Okay, I think we have to move on. So first I would like to give the word to Ms. Serlin Maria Anthony Samis, is the director of INFOFISH. Please, Serlin.
Thank you, Dr. Victoria.
Yes.
Just starting. Okay. Thank you, Dr. Victoria, and to all the panelists. I think it was excellent, excellent presentations from all. Very insightful, very informative, and I think we all got a picture of the different countries within the region. And of course, Dr. Lionel gave a very fantastic overview of the region as well. Again, looking from the, judging from the question and answers that we received, you know, it just goes to show how important the region is. as an investing place, and also for development of the domestic market. Fish definitely is a very important product for each and every country in the GCC, and we are hoping we will be able to share this information maybe through our magazine write-up of this webinar, and perhaps maybe even individual markets. Again, a very special thank you to Dr. Victoria for excellently moderating this session, and to all panelists for the excellent presentations, and also for taking the time to address the questions and answers that has been raised. Please look out for our future webinars coming up, and keep in touch with us. Thank you very much for your support.
Thank you, Charlene, for your kind words.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, we will move now just to 1 minute summary message from each of our panelists. Please, Dr. Lionel.
Yes, thank you very much, and yes, congratulations to the other speakers, and thank you also for all the questions. I tried to answer all of them. I will just maybe would like to highlight one comment that was posted by my colleagues in the headquarters. Rodrigo Rubac on the chat right now on the chat, highlighting that the FAO has been requested by its member countries to develop guidelines for sustainable aquaculture. And he was asking if it would not be a good idea to have a consultation in the region on this topic of sustainable aquaculture guidelines. So I just wanted to highlight this point. I think that's definitely an important sector. Otherwise, thank you very much for all the participation. I hope that I try my best to answer all the questions on the chat. But if you have any questions, just contact me. My email is lionel.dabadi@fao.org. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Lionel. Dr. Ali, please, your 1 minute concluding message.
I would like to thank INFOFISH for organizing this event. It's a very comprehensive information being shared between the panelists, and it leads us again to go back to see which is the area we can cooperate. There is countries advanced in something like Kuwait, they are advanced in research. Oman, they are advanced in the fish catch. We need to learn from each other and to cooperate to create a platform which we can, instead of reinvent the wheel, we can learn and move on. And I think INFOFISH in the future can organize a specific event for each topic, and we easy to participate through the virtual meeting anytime. I'd like to thank everybody, all the participants or the panelists and the moderator as well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Ali. That's a great suggestion. Please, Dr. Abdulaziz.
Thank you, Victoria. I would like to thank Ms. Shirley and my colleagues, Lionel, Dr. Ali, and Dr. Abdul Qadir. It was very informative information and valuable. I think GCC regions is a promising strong economic regions. We can complement each other. Cooperation under the umbrella of FAO and RECOFI will strengthen these things. Looking forward for such an event organized by INFOFISH. And once again, thank you to all of you.
Thank you. Mr. Abdul Qadir, do we continue with technical problems or? Yeah, since we have to miss him. Okay, so thank you very much to all our panelists for their time and the generosity to share all this information. A special thanks to INFOFISH for organizing this very informative event. We do hope that it has been a fruitful dialogue with all the participants and you have benefit from it. And we thank you, all of you, to join at the different time zones and participate till the end of the session. Just a quick reminder, INFOFISH is also organizing a couple of webinars in September. One of them is on tuna, about certification and technology, on the 9th of September. And we have a second one on the 24th of September on functional aquafeed, sustainable solution for the industry. I hope you will join these seminars and keep following infofish.org for the new updates. Till then, please stay safe and we wish you all good health. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Dr. Victoria.
Thank
Bye
you so much.
now, Dr. Abdul Aziz, Dr. Abdul
Thank
Kadir.
you. Thank you, Mr. Shelley.
Dr. Ali,
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you.